Alex was a calm and thoughtful man who loved the stars. Ever since he was a child, he looked up at the night sky and dreamed of exploring space. When he grew older, he became a volunteer for a NASA project. This project was very special because it helped scientists learn about space, weather, and signals from satellites far away. Alex had a small but important job. He had a special satellite dish installed on his roof. This dish was not for watching TV or anything normal like that. It was for receiving important signals that helped NASA with their research. Alex felt proud and happy to be part of something bigger than himself. Alex lived in a quiet neighborhood. The houses were neat and the streets were clean. There was a group called the Homeowners Association, or HOA for short. The HOA was a group of people who made rules to keep the neighborhood looking nice and tidy. They decided what kind of plants you could have, what colors you could paint your house, and even how your yard should look. Most neighbors liked the rules because they helped keep the area beautiful, but sometimes the rules felt too strict. One of the HOA board members was a woman named Karen. She was known by many neighbors as Karen, not always in a nice way. Karen was very strict about following rules. She liked order and control and did not like things that looked different or out of place. Karen took her job on the HOA board very seriously. She often complained about small things, like someone parking in the wrong spot or leaving trash cans out too long. Most people tried to avoid arguing with her because she was very forceful and could be hard to deal with. Alex was careful and quiet. He did not want to make trouble. When he installed the satellite dish, he made sure to follow the rules as best as he could. He talked to the HOA and explained what the dish was for. He hoped they would understand that this dish was not just for fun, it was for science. But Karen did not want to listen. She thought the dish looked ugly and made the house look messy. She believed it broke the HOA rules because it was a big piece of equipment on the roof that could be seen from the street at first. Karen tried to get Alex to remove the dish by sending letters and warnings. She said the dish spoiled the look of the neighborhood. Alex tried to explain again. He showed them papers from NASA explaining how important the dish was. He even offered to put the dish in a way that was less visible, but Karen was not satisfied. She kept pushing, saying the dish had to go. Alex felt stuck. He loved helping NASA, and this dish was his way of doing that. Did not want to fight with his neighbors or the HOA, but he also could not just take the dish down. It was part of a bigger purpose, something that meant a lot to him and to science. He tried to talk calmly with Karen, hoping she would understand, but Karen was angry and did not want to listen. One day, Karen decided she would take action herself. She believed she was protecting the neighborhood. Without telling Alex, she climbed onto his roof early in the morning when no one was watching. She brought tools with her and carefully started to remove the satellite dish. Alex did not know what she was doing at first. When he looked outside later, he saw his dish was gone. What shocked him most was that it was not just taken down, it was broken. The equipment was damaged and could not be used anymore. Alex felt a strong mix of emotions. He was angry that someone had entered his property without permission. He was sad because the equipment he cared about was destroyed. He was worried because the dish was important for NASA's research. He knew this was not just about a simple dish. This was about something much bigger. He decided he could not stay silent. Alex went to the HOA office to ask for help. He wanted Karen to be responsible and to fix the problem, but the HOA did not support him. They said the dish was against the rules and that Karen only did what the rules allowed. Karen denied everything when asked. She said she had the right to remove anything that broke the HOA's appearance rules. The HOA told Alex that if he wanted to fight this, he would have to do it on his own. Feeling frustrated, Alex reached out to NASA. He told them what had happened. He explained how the dish was part of an important network to collect scientific data. NASA was surprised and upset to hear that one of their volunteers' equipment was destroyed. They told Alex that this kind of dish was rare and very important for their work. NASA decided to get involved. They contacted the HOA and explained how serious this was. The dish was not just any piece of equipment. It was part of a national scientific effort. Damaging it could cause problems for important research. NASA also warned that destroying government-related equipment might have legal consequences. This made the situation much bigger than a neighborhood disagreement. Word about the incident started to spread in the community. Many neighbors were shocked. Some had never realized the dish was connected to NASA. They began to see Alex not just as a quiet neighbor, but as someone contributing to science and education. Others started to question how Karen had handled the situation. Was it right for her to destroy something so important just because she thought it looked bad? Alex found support from several neighbors who admired his dedication. They stood by. He even asked the HOA to reconsider their rules about scientific equipment. Some neighbors even offered to help fix the damaged dish and protect it from future harm. The neighborhood was slowly changing. People began to talk about the importance of science and technology and how these things should be respected. But Karen was not ready to admit she was wrong. She remained firm, saying she only followed the rules and tried to keep the neighborhood nice. She did not understand why everyone was making such a big deal about a dish on one roof. This made some neighbors feel uncomfortable because Karen's attitude seemed harsh and unfair. The story of the satellite dish was just beginning. What started as a simple disagreement over a small piece of equipment grew into a larger issue about respect, community, and the value of science. Alex hoped that in the end, people would learn to see beyond appearances and understand how small actions could impact the bigger world. For now, Alex stayed patient. He kept working with NASA and talked to neighbors to share why the dish was so important. He wanted to show that technology and science belonged in the neighborhood too, and that people should support each other's efforts, even if they did not always understand them right away. The first part of this story ends with Alex ready to face the challenges ahead. He knew he had to stand up for what was right, but he also hoped that kindness and understanding would win over anger and rules. That did not fit the modern world. This was more than just a satellite dish. It was a symbol of hope, curiosity, and the future. After Karen ripped the satellite dish off Alex's roof, the neighborhood was buzzing with whispers and quiet conversations. Many neighbors were surprised by what had happened. They'd never imagined that such a small object could cause so much trouble. But for Alex, the situation was far from over. He felt hurt and frustrated. The dish was not just something he owned. It was a vital part of a scientific project that helped NASA study space and signals from far away. Without that dish, important research could be delayed or lost. Alex tried to talk to Karen and the HOA one more time. He wanted to find a peaceful way to fix the problem. He explained how much the dish meant to him and the scientists. He shared information about the project and how it helped people learn about the weather in space and protect satellites that we all rely on for communication and GPS. But Karen was not interested in listening. She only cared about the appearance of the neighborhood and said the dish had to be removed no matter what. Feeling ignored and powerless, Alex decided to take another step. He contacted the NASA project leaders to tell them what had happened. He knew they would understand. NASA was shocked to hear about the damage. They explained to Alex that the satellite dish was part of a network called a ground station. These ground stations receive signals from spacecraft and satellites in orbit. Without these signals, scientists cannot study important information about solar storms or how space affects life on Earth. The people at NASA told Alex that damaging a ground station was serious. The dish was government property and used for public research. They said they needed to investigate what had happened. NASA even sent a team to look at the broken equipment and assess the damage. The news that NASA was involved made the story much bigger than anyone had expected. Meanwhile, Karen and the HOA board did not know how to handle the situation. They had only thought about the rules and the neighborhood's look. But now they were facing questions from a government agency. NASA officials contacted the HOA to ask about the incident. They wanted to know why the dish was removed without permission and what the HOA planned to do to fix the problem. Karen was upset. She felt cornered and blamed Alex for not removing the dish earlier. She told NASA that the HOA had rules everyone had to follow, and the dish broke those rules. But NASA was clear. The dish was part of important scientific research, and destroying it could lead to serious consequences. They explained that the HOA had to take responsibility and work with Alex to repair the damage. Back in the neighborhood, word spread quickly. Many neighbors were surprised to hear that NASA cared so much about one-man satellite dish. Some felt sympathy for Alex because they realized he was part of something important. Others began to question Karen's actions. Was it fair for her to destroy government equipment just because she did not like how it looked? Several neighbors decided to support Alex. They joined him in asking the HOA to be more understanding about scientific equipment. They said the rules needed to be updated for modern times because technology was changing. The neighborhood should accept new things that helped people in the world. Alex was grateful for the support. It made him feel less alone. He started talking to neighbors more openly, explaining how the satellite dish worked and why it was important. Some neighbors had never heard about space research or NASA's projects before. Alex is calm and clear. Explanations helped them understand and respect his work. However, not everyone agreed. Karen and a few others still believed that the neighborhood's look was the most important thing. They thought any equipment that changed the appearance should be removed, no matter what. This caused tension in the community. People started taking sides. Some wanted to support Alex in science, while others sided with Karen in strict rules. Alex realized that this was not just about a satellite dish anymore. It was about how communities grow and change. It was about learning to accept new ideas and technology, even if they seemed strange or different at first. Alex wanted to be a voice for kindness and understanding. At the same time, NASA was working hard to repair the damaged dish. They sent experts to replace broken parts and make sure the ground station could work again. Alex helped with this work. He felt proud to fix something so important. NASA also promised to support Alex if the HOA tried to cause more problems. The situation attracted attention outside the neighborhood as well. Local news reporters heard about the story and came to talk to Alex and some neighbors. They were interested in how a small neighborhood disagreement became a lesson about science, community, and respect. The news stories showed Alex as a dedicated volunteer helping NASA and taught viewers about the importance of scientific research. Karen was not happy about the attention. She felt embarrassed because many people saw her as the one causing trouble. Some neighbors stopped trusting her because she had damaged important equipment and made the neighborhood look bad on TV. Karen tried to defend herself, but the public opinion was turning against her. Alex stayed calm through it all. He did not want to fight or create enemies. Instead, he focused on sharing knowledge and building bridges. He invited neighbors to learn more about NASA projects. He held small meetings in his home where he showed videos and pictures of space missions. Many people attended and were inspired by what they saw. Slowly, the community began to change. People talked less about rules and more about support and respect. Some neighbors started thinking about how they could help Alex and others like him. The HOA board began discussing ways to update their policies to allow scientific and technological equipment that benefits people. Even Karen could see that things were changing. Though she did not say it out loud, she started to realize that being flexible and open-minded was better than being harsh and strict. The neighborhood was not just about looking perfect. It was about growing together and learning from each other. By the end of this part of the story, Alex felt hopeful. Despite the hard times and challenges, he knew that truth and kindness could make a difference. His satellite dish was more than just metal and wires. It was a symbol of curiosity, learning, and connection. With NASA's help and his neighbors' support, Alex was ready to face whatever came next. After NASA contacted the HOA, things began to change quickly. The board members, including Karen, suddenly found themselves under a lot of pressure. It was no longer just about neighborhood rules or personal opinions. It had become a serious matter involving a government agency and important scientific research. The HOA board had to respond carefully at their next meeting. The HOA board called for a special session to discuss the satellite dish incident. Many neighbors came to listen and share their thoughts. Alex was there too. He wanted to speak and explain more about why the dish was so important. NASA had sent a representative too to help explain the situation clearly. The meeting room was full. Some people were curious, others were worried, and a few were angry. Karen sat stiffly, ready. to defend her actions. But as the NASA representative spoke, the mood in the room began to change. She talked about the ground station and how it helps scientists track solar storms and keep satellites safe. She explained how this research affected everyday life, like helping keep cell phones working and making sure planes could fly safely. Neighbors listened carefully. Some looked surprised. They had never thought about how something on one roof could affect so many people around the world. Alex spoke calmly and clearly about how proud he was to be part of this work. He told stories about the scientists he knew and the discoveries they were making. He said that this dish was not just a piece of metal, it was a connection to the stars and a hope for the future. Karen tried to interrupt a few times. She argued that the rules were rules and that the neighborhood should be protected from things that made it look bad. But the NASA representative and many neighbors stood up for Alex. They said that rules should not stop progress or hurt people who want to help others. The discussion became lively but respectful. Some neighbors shared stories of their own experiences. With new technology, they talked about how sometimes change is hard but necessary. Slowly, many people agreed that the HOA needed to rethink its rules. They wanted the neighborhood to be a place where science and progress could grow alongside beauty and order. After the meeting, the HOA board promised to review the rules about satellite dishes and similar equipment. They said they would work with Alex and others to find a way to keep the neighborhood nice without stopping important research. This was a big step forward. Karen, however, did not look happy. She felt her authority was being questioned. Some neighbors noticed that she became quieter in meetings and less active on the board. It seemed like the community was moving past her strict control. At the same time, NASA helped Alex repair the damaged satellite dish. They sent technicians to replace broken parts and test the system. Alex worked with them, learning more about the technology every day. He felt proud and hopeful as the dish began to work again. The news about the NASA investigation and the HOA meeting spread beyond the neighborhood. Local newspapers and TV stations covered the story. They showed Alex as a hero who stood up for science and community. They talked about how a small neighborhood conflict turned into a lesson about respect and understanding. Alex received many messages of support from people all over the city. Some were scientists, some were teachers, and some were just curious citizens. They thanked him for his courage and for sharing his knowledge. This made Alex feel even more connected to the work he loved. Back in the neighborhood, more neighbors began to talk about science and space. Children asked their parents about stars and satellites. Some adults started reading about NASA missions and learning new things. Alex even started a small club for young people interested in science. He hoped to inspire the next generation. The HOA board, encouraged by the positive response, began working on new guidelines. They wanted to balance neighborhood appearance with the importance of technology and science. They invited Alex to help write the new rules, so they would be fair and clear. This showed how much trust and respect Alex had gained. Karen struggled to accept these changes. She often complained quietly about the new rules and the attention Alex was getting. But she could not stop the progress. Many neighbors appreciated the new direction and supported the idea of being open to science and technology. One day, Alex was invited to speak at a community event about his experience. He told the story of the satellite dish and how science and neighbors came together. He shared a message about patience, respect, and learning from each other. His speech was well received and inspired many. The satellite dish became a symbol of hope and progress in the neighborhood. It reminded everyone that sometimes small things can make a big difference. It showed that kindness and understanding could overcome anger and strict rules. Alex continued his work with NASA and his community. He knew that challenges would come again, but he was ready. He believed that, with respect and communication, people could find common ground and work together for a better future. Karen's time on the HOA board eventually ended. New leaders took her place, people who wanted to listen and support their neighbors. The neighborhood became a place where science, progress, and community could grow side by side. Looking back, many neighbors saw the satellite dish incident as a turning point. It taught them to be open-minded and supportive. It showed that even small actions could change the world. Alex felt grateful for the journey. What started as a difficult conflict became a story of hope, learning, and friendship. The stars above seemed a little closer now, shining brightly for everyone. As the story of the satellite dish and the HOA dispute became well known, the community started to change in small but important ways. Neighbors who once ignored the idea of science and technology began to show interest. Alex's quiet determination and willingness to share his knowledge had opened many eyes. The HOA board, now working on updating their rules, wanted to make sure this kind of conflict would not happen again. They met often to discuss new guidelines for satellite dishes, antennas, and other technology equipment. The goal was clear: to find a balance between keeping the neighborhood looking nice and allowing people to support science and modern technology. Alex was invited to be part of the committee that helped write the new rules. He took this responsibility seriously. He wanted to make sure that people who volunteered for important projects like NASA could have the equipment they needed without fear of being punished or having their things destroyed. At the same time, NASA continued to support Alex. They helped repair and upgrade the satellite dish so it worked better than before. Alex felt proud every time he saw the dish on his roof, knowing it was part of a network helping scientists study space. He also felt proud that his small neighborhood was part of something bigger, something that connected them to the stars. Meanwhile, Karen's role in the community changed. She was no longer on the HOA board, and many neighbors stopped listening to her complaints. Some felt sorry for her because she seemed unhappy and isolated, but others hoped she would learn from what had happened and see the value in being open and kind to others. Alex believed that forgiveness was important. He did not want to hold a grudge. Instead, he hoped that everyone could grow from this experience. After all, the neighborhood was a place where people lived and worked together. And kindness was what made a community strong. Inspired by the positive changes, Alex began holding regular science talks and workshops for neighbors of all ages. Children loved learning about stars, planets, and satellites. Adults came to ask questions and share their own ideas. These gatherings brought people together and created new friendships. The local school invited Alex to speak to students about his work with NASA and the importance of science. He told stories about the satellite dish, the HOA conflict, and how working together could solve problems. The students were excited and asked many questions. Some even said they wanted to become scientists or engineers one day. As the neighborhood grew more curious and supportive, the atmosphere changed. People were more respectful of each other's interests and efforts. They realized that supporting science was not just about equipment on roofs, it was about hope for the future, about learning and discovery. Alex's story also inspired nearby neighborhoods. Other HOA groups started asking questions about how they could support technology and scientific projects. Alex and NASA shared what they had learned, helping others avoid similar problems. One evening, the community held a celebration to honor the progress they had made. Neighbors gathered in a park near Alex's house. There were food trucks, music, and games for children. NASA sent a team with displays and models of satellites and space probes. Everyone was excited to learn and have fun together. Alex spoke. At the event, he thanked the neighbors for their support and shared a message about patience, understanding, and the power of working together. He reminded everyone that sometimes challenges teach us the most important lessons. The satellite dish, once a symbol of conflict, had become a symbol of hope and unity. Karen was invited to the event too. Although she did not come, many hoped that she would see the good things that had come from the situation. The neighborhood was moving forward, stronger and wiser. The repaired satellite dish continued to send important signals to NASA. Alex's volunteer work helped scientists study solar storms, space weather, and more. This research helped protect communication systems and satellites that people around the world depended on every day. Alex felt happy knowing his small actions made a difference. He looked up at the night sky with pride, thinking about the scientists far away and the mysteries of space waiting to be discovered. The neighborhood had learned to embrace change and respect the efforts of its members. People saw that kindness, communication, openness, could solve problems better than anger and strict rules. Alex's story became a reminder to all that science and community can grow together. With patience and respect, even the smallest voices can reach the stars. After the big neighborhood event, life slowly returned to normal, but things were different now. The small conflict over the satellite dish had grown into something much larger. It had changed the way neighbors saw each other and what they thought was important. Alex felt proud, but also careful. He knew that change was not always easy, and not everyone accepted it quickly. Still, he believed that the future was brighter when people learned to understand and support each other. Alex continued his work. With NASA, every day, he checked the satellite dish on his roof, making sure it was working well. He stayed in touch with the scientists who relied on his station. They shared their latest discoveries and thanked him for being part of the team. Knowing that his small dish was part of a global scientific effort made Alex feel connected to something bigger than himself. His neighbors noticed how much Alex cared. Many of them had come to appreciate his passion and dedication. Some, even, joined the science club he had started, eager to learn more about space and technology. Children in the neighborhood dreamed of becoming astronauts or engineers. Teachers used Alex's story as an example of how curiosity and kindness could lead to success. The HOA board had changed too. New members had taken over, people who wanted to listen and work with the community rather than control it. They revised the neighborhood rules to be clearer and more flexible. Now residents could install scientific and technological equipment as long as it was safe and respectful to neighbors. This change made many people happy and relieved. Karen was no longer part of the HOA board, and she lived more quietly. Neighbors hoped she had learned to be more understanding, while others wished she would try to be kinder. Alex believed in forgiveness and hoped that everyone could find peace. After all, community is made strong by the way its people treat each other. The story of the satellite dish incident became a lesson that neighbors talked about for years. It was a story about patience, respect, and the power of working together. People learned that sometimes rules need to change to keep up with the world. They learned that science and technology are not enemies of tradition, but partners in building a better future. Alex's efforts inspired others outside the neighborhood. Nearby communities began to rethink their own rules and welcome science and technology. NASA invited Alex to speak at other events, where he shared his experiences and encouraged people to support each other's dreams. At home, Alex enjoyed peaceful evenings looking at the stars. The satellite dish on his roof was a symbol of hope and discovery. It reminded him of the journey he had taken from quiet volunteer to community leader. He knew there would be more challenges ahead, but he felt ready. One day, Alex received a letter from NASA. It thanked him for his courage and dedication. The letter said that because of his help, many important discoveries had been made. It said his small neighborhood had become part of the story of space exploration. Alex smiled. As he read the letter, thought about the people who had supported him and those who had tried to stop him. He understood that every story has many sides, but kindness and truth would always shine through. The satellite dish continued to hum softly on his roof. It was a quiet reminder that even small actions could have a big impact. And as the stars twinkled above, Alex felt grateful for the chance to be part of something wonderful, a community that learned to grow together and reach for the stars.